Hey, what's going on everybody? Dr. 𝙤𝙤 here. So a couple days ago, I made a video explaining why I'm proudly not getting the COVID shot and why my chances of dying from COVID are 0%. Okay, so today I'm going to explain to you why I stand by that statement that my chances of dying from COVID are 0%. And more importantly, if you are choosing not to get the shot, I'm going to give you some data to make you know that you're making a good decision. And if you're on the fence, I want to show you the real truth that no one ever seems to share because one, they don't know, and two, we're so damn sensitive, we're afraid to hurt feelings, and I'm not going to hold back at all. I'm just going to tell it like it is. And then three, and most importantly, to have confidence. So if someone tries to guilt you or shame you or, make you feel bad, like you're a bad human being for not running out and getting the shot, there's absolutely no reason to feel that way whatsoever. And then I want to address right off the get-go some myths that keep getting put out there by public health officials, such as, remember, that getting vaccinated will not only help you, which maybe it might help you have less symptoms, that's all the study showed, but it'll help your family and your community. So how can you say that when the studies didn't even look to see if the vaccine stopped transmission whatsoever? How can we claim that you right now getting the shot is going to protect other people when it didn't show that? All the studies showed is that it reduced symptoms, right? But to help your community stay safe and healthy, to stay healthy. Define healthy. We've gotten to the point in the past year that healthy is defined as you're fully vaccinated, you wear your mask, you don't go by other people, and you obsessively wash your hands. That is what health has become in America. Let me tell you this. Over 70% of us are overweight. Over 20% of kids are obese. It's absolutely tragic. On average, every American's on 4 prescription medications. And that is considered healthy? See, what we're not looking at is the real problem, the real issue. And the real issue is what leads to your increased chance of death and long-term complications from COVID. That's one thing people brought up to is like, well, you might not die, but you could suffer long-term complications. Have you seen any research on the long-term complications from the COVID shots? Well, of course not. There are none. It was only 2 months long, right? I'm going to take my chances with my immune system. I'm going to explain why here in a second versus getting these 2 shots and the new variants that are out there. So what are they working on? A 3rd shot. I got a better option than that. But first, let me show you some numbers to help support why I say convincingly there is a 0% chance of me dying from COVID or having long-term complications from COVID. All right. So I pulled up the numbers. I'm just going to look at the county I live in, okay? So it's if you look at different parts of the world, these numbers are vastly different based on what? A large of it is based on population obesity levels. But in the county, there's been about 12,500 cases and 74 deaths for a death rate of 0.6%. But what are the odds of them catching every single case? Not even close. They're not going to miss any deaths, and then you have to ask how many of these deaths are with COVID versus from COVID. But let's just say they're all from COVID. So a few months ago, I posted an article where the CDC said up to 8 times more cases out there than what's being caught and reported, right? So let's just say there's 3 times as many because there's no way they're catching every case, not even close. So that brings the death rate down to 0.2, 0.1, 0.3%. And the average age of death around the world is 80 years old. 80 years old, okay? Now think about this. The average age of death in the US is 78, yet around the world, the average age of COVID deaths is 80. It's like, well, how is that possible? Because on average, other countries live 5-6 years longer than we do. It's like, well, why is that? We spend more money, think about this, right? To stay healthy, We spend more money per person on healthcare by far, and it's not even close. No one even spends half as much as we do, yet damn near every single other industrialized country's population, the people live longer than we do. Yet we're staying healthy. So why is it that we take more medications, we don't live as long, and we spend more money than everyone else? Is it because we just don't have enough vaccines yet? Everyone else is wearing 2 and 3 masks to be safe and healthy? Right? Is it everyone else gets more vaccines than we do? Or is it because we eat terrible, we don't exercise, we're the heaviest? Right? I'll get to that. But let's look at the US stats. And this is from yesterday, by the way, so this could have changed. In the US, we got about about 10 million cases, right? And about 24,000 are in severe or critical condition, which makes 0.24%. That's it, 0.24%. And that's for everybody, okay? That includes the elderly, sick people, overweight people, unhealthy people. So if you're actually a fit, active, healthy person with adequate vitamin D levels, you're nowhere near this. It's just not happening. So one thing that never gets talked about is this, that I think is very important, metabolic health. So metabolic health is to have like a healthy waist size, healthy blood pressure, healthy blood sugar, healthy cholesterol, HDL. Only 12% of Americans fit the bill. Only 12%. 88% of us are not metabolically healthy. Yet, if you run out and get these shots, you stay safe and healthy. Who the hell's healthy? This is the issue. I'm gonna get proof to it here in a second, right? So me, being, a lot of you people get like to jump online and attack me, call me, quack and all these names, which is like, yeah, my quack methodology has me as one of the few people in the 12%, right? Going on, 54%. 54% of kids have a diagnosed chronic illness. That's tragic, man. Like, that's a huge issue. And here's what's so disheartening to me, and nobody talks about it. It's about 19% of kids are obese. But in the past year, because you've been told repeatedly to lock your kids at home, sit them in front of a screen, don't go outside to get exercise, some people are reporting obesity in kids has increased by up to 5%. So now we're at 24% of kids are obese, and they've done studies at 50 years old, on average, every obese kid, 90% of them are still obese. Right? So 90% of them stay obese in an adult. That's how damn important it is to get kids outside exercise and to talk about good food, to keep their body weight where it should, for us to lead by example, but no one talks about that. All it is, think about this, man. All it is, like, look at these numbers. And of these numbers, how many kids have died in this? How many high schoolers? How many college age? None. I don't know of any, right? And the very handful of do are very, very sick or very, very poor health conditions, right? It's not the virus per se. It's the poor health that makes them so susceptible to complications from the virus. So back to this, right? Like, this is what we need to be talking about, and I'm going to explain in a second. Going on. Back to this shot that they're recommending for pregnant women. Here's something someone posted to me. It's like, they said, well, there's no studies showing that the vaccine is harmful for women or the fetus. Well, of course not. They haven't done anything. Because they haven't done anything to show at all, of course you're not going to show there's any harm. That doesn't mean it's okay. I mean, think about thalidomide. How many people were given that, and then all of a sudden you have all these babies with birth defects? Are you willing to take that chance? I'm not. Right? I'm absolutely not. We got the long-term effects I just talked about and new strains. But here's what I want to get to, the stuff. This is what I've been talking to from the beginning. This is the most important thing, right? And if you're with me on this, this is what you are doing, or hopefully what you really should be doing. I'm explaining why it's so important. So here's this, there's so many studies on this, but I'm just going to give this one. It's called Influenza and Obesity, Its Odd Relationship and the Lessons for the COVID-19 Pandemic. Evidence from previous influenza pandemics suggests the following interventions for improving your immune response. Lose weight, practice mild to moderate physical exercise. Whew. All right, so this is so interesting. It is known that malnutrition goes both ways, undernutrition and overnutrition. So if you're starving and very nutrient deficient, you're weaker, you're more susceptible to viral complications. If you're overweight and nutrient deficient, it's the same thing. They found this during the 1918 flu pandemic. And they say during the 1957-1960 Asian and 68 Hong Kong influenza confirmed that obesity and diabetes lead to higher mortality as well as more prolonged duration of illness. Okay, now that's very important. The prolonged duration of illness is very, very important, which you're going to get to. During the 2009 H1N1 pandemic, obesity was also linked to an increased risk of severe disease and a risk factor for hospitalization or death. So right now, over 34% of Americans are obese and over 70% are overweight. Now, I have to mention this. So people, it's so crazy, is if you bring up a problem, right? Like a problem is our terrible diet, our lack of exercise, and just our complacency and acceptance of obesity. And if I bring it up and I'm genuinely trying to help people and show the truth, and hopefully this motivates people, it's like, man, you know what? It's time to start taking. So the intentions are good, and you get labeled a fat shamer, you get called names, you're told to shut up, mind your own business, don't worry about obese kids, they're not your problem, pay attention to your own kids. It's like, how can you ever solve a problem if you're not allowed to talk about it? Right? It's like, don't say anything to the alcoholic family member about his alcohol because you don't want to be an alcohol shamer. You know, it's the most bizarre thing. Like, it's such a common issue, and it's so prevalent that it's like, well, can't talk about it. We're just going to give up on trying to find a solution. But I know there's a lot of people out there that want to change, and they want the truth, and that's what I'm here for. All right. So going on, this is so interesting. This is it. The reduced macrophage activation, or the reduced immune activation after being exposed to an antigen, a bad guy, right? Explaining poor vaccination success in obese subjects. So one thing they find is, and they never talk about, is oftentimes vaccines, if they do work, they don't work as well in obese people. Now, I guarantee you, these drug companies like Pfizer and their 30 or 44,000 people, there wasn't a bunch of obese people. They know this stuff. They know better than to be putting older, obese, sick people in their studies, because they know damn well the outcomes, right? The efficacy is going to be lower, which is why so often the efficacy might be good, but the effectiveness, how it works in the real world, is way less, right? They're very smart about that. Reduced physical activity impairs immune response against microbial agents along several steps of the immune system. So literally, exercise boosts your immune system, so when you come in contact with a virus, right, you fight it off, build antibodies, you're sick less, you get healthier, and that's helping not only you, but those around. Here's what's really interesting. I go back to these masks, right, because 11 months in, how anyone still listens to what Fauci says, like it's mind-blowing to me. Now he says double mask, right, to filter out the virus, to help stop the spread. Think about this. All right, let's say you had a dollar bill and you stacked up $1 trillion bills. How high do you think that would go? 100 miles? Is that insane? A mile, okay, right? Now, 100 miles, you crazy? 1,000 miles? $1 trillion bills goes 68,000 miles high, almost 3 times around the world. That's 1 trillion, right? You have 380 trillion, approximately, viruses on and within your body. That's how small they are. Right? How much of that do you really think the handkerchiefs and bandanas and stuff that people have had in their purse or laying in their car seat, or that they just pull out of their pocket, that they just sat in the bathroom with, is really filtering stuff out, right? Think about it. Look at the chart, Wisconsin chart. Mask mandate, mask mandates, mask mandates. Well, it goes this way. Show me where the mask mandate is helping. You can't, right? When you compare, and there's, what about over 30 papers on this, comparing in real world, not in controlled settings, in real world, mask mandates versus non-mask mandates. There's absolutely no evidence that they're working. None. But what could work? What could work is if we spent the last 11 damn months talking about actually getting healthier, instead of saying to wear your mask, get more shots, hide and isolate, and don't exercise, stay home, to stay safe and healthy. But going on with this study, it's so good. Both physical activity and exercise are positively associated with favorable outcomes in metabolic diseases such as diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, the huge problems in the US, and immunological conditions, and vaccination efficacy. So exercising helps the vaccines that a lot of people are so proud to get, make them work better. Physical activity interventions have demonstrated potential to reduce the risk of complications by reducing inflammation, boosting the immune system, and improving vaccine outcomes in the elderly. So get people moving, man. Instead of instead of canceling sports, canceling activities, canceling kids' activities, canceling everything, and telling people to stay at home, we should be getting out and getting moving. This is straight from the study, why are obese patients potentially more contagious than lean subjects? 3 factors make obese subjects more contagious. Think about that, man. So we always thought, stop the spread, slow the spread. I'm going to run out and get my shot so I'm not spreading to others, even though, again, the vaccine hasn't been shown to reduce transmission at all. But getting healthier and losing weight helps to reduce transmission. Obese subjects shed the virus for longer periods of time. In this paper, I'm not recommending this. In this paper, it recommends if you're going to quarantine, obese people should be quarantined for twice as long as not obese because they shed for longer. Secondly, the obese microenvironment favors the emergence of novel, more virulent virus strains. So what they're saying is when you're unhealthy, right, the virus stays in you longer and can change and mutate and create more deadly strains like the new strains we're seeing, like they're making more vaccines to add on to fight these new strains, where my approach is be as healthy as I possibly can because I'm not only helping myself, but I'm helping those around me, so my body is better to protect me against every strain. And third, body mass index correlates positively with infectious viruses and exhaled breath. The finding was especially significant in males, so fitter, leaner people, when they exhale less amount of virus. Right? So it's like, oh, we gotta wear this mask to reduce the amount that goes out. You know what does a really good job of that? Getting healthy. Actually getting healthy. Going on, several studies suggest that regular exercise enhances and improves host resistance to pathogen invasion. Additional benefit of exercise is the enhancement of antioxidant defense and oxidative stress reduction. It brings your stress levels down. Now, there's something I should mention this. When it comes to exercise, too much, like running marathons, you can do too much of it, and that brings your stress levels up and makes you more susceptible to getting sick. So we got to find that sweet spot. That's why all my exercise and my programs it's designed to just stay in that sweet spot. In summary, regular physical exercise emerges as a cornerstone as a preventative measure to improve host defense against viral infection and other metabolic diseases. The strongest positive immunomodulatory intervention is physical exercise. And we're told to stay home, lock up, to stay safe and healthy. Regular exercise enhances the immune response. Prolonged, I went into that. So, the whole point of this is the best thing you can do for yourself and those around you now and in the future, because obviously there's more pandemics coming. We just had the H1N1 not that long ago, plus the other examples I give, is to get healthy, right? So how about we start focusing on and taking pride and become a culture that actually focuses on getting and then staying healthy, which keeps us safe and keeps those around us safe. Right? Let's get out and exercise with our kids. Let's get out. It's like, oh, it's snowing, it's cold. Actually, it's a damn near blizzard right now. So what? Tomorrow go sledding, get out, exercise. Take pride in eating healthy foods, right? Put down the chips, get rid of the soda. Just take pride in being fit and healthy, because you're not only helping yourself, but you're actually protecting those around you. You get sick less often, you're sick shorter, you spread it to less people, you have more, think about this. You have more energy, you feel better, you look better, your confidence goes up, you can do more things, you're more physically able to do more things, you get sick less often, you stay sick longer, you spread it to less people. Everything about it is good. Like all the things we should be doing, the public health agency has not mentioned one damn thing about it, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. So god darn sick and tired of stay safe and healthy by running around a mask and hiding and not exercising, and it's so useless, worse than useless. So those of you who aren't getting the shots, that's a good choice, man. Don't let anyone guilt you or feel bad or shame you, and if they do, just like, it's like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna go exercise, eat good food, get my vitamin D levels up. Omega-3s are a great idea. I'm just gonna live as healthy as I possibly can, because I want to do it for me. I want to be a good role model for those around me, and I want to get and stay safe and healthy.